Hi, my name is Benjamin Katz and welcome back to the 48 State Ice Cream Review, where today I'm at the Main Street Mercantile in Mitchell, South Dakota, trying the two flavors, Gravel Travel and Black Licorice. Now, the first time I had Black Licorice was, about a week ago, and I thought that it would never be seen again, and yet, here it is once more. So the Dakotas are really pulling through with those Black Licorice flavors. But we'll get started with the Gravel Travel, which is a peanut butter base with, it looks like, caramel and fudge mixed in. I mean, as is common with peanut butter based ice creams, it's very thick and yet very smooth with mouthfeel. It's not giving any noticeable ice crystals, even though we are in the middle of winter, and Main Street Mercantile didn't seem to be having that high of a volume of ice cream purchases. So they must be storing it well, or this must be a fairly new bin, to say the least. So there is that quality control that I do like to see. The fudge pieces don't come off too strongly, because when you have a peanut butter base, that really is like the only flavor you're going to be experiencing. So I prefer to have textural contrasts in peanut butter bases as opposed to flavoral. You can add, some chocolate swirls or chocolate fudges, and I don't think it detracts from the situation, but ultimately you are tasting mostly that peanut butter. It is still a delicious flavor though. All right, let's move next to the Black Licorice. It has a lovely purple color, kind of dark, kind of brooding. It does reminisce of licorice, but I'm a bit skeptical and hesitant, as it even has a bit of that licorice smell, which is permeating even through the frozen nature, which doesn't usually allow smells. I'm curious, at the very least. This is a very strange flavor. The texture is honestly close to a shaved ice with how icy it is. I don't know if that's from how long it's been stored or if that's just how the flavor comes out because of the licorice being imposed. It doesn't taste strongly of licorice. There is that smell coming in through the olfactory as it warms up, and long after the bite is gone, you're still tasting that remnant of licorice, that sort of not coating, not oiliness, but this presence of licorice that remains on the breath and on the tongue for long after the bite is taken. It has a bit of a sweet cream front palate taste, and as you're sort of chewing it and swallowing, you kind of just taste this pleasant, subtle sweetness that comes from the cream that is slightly impacted by licorice flavor in a positive manner, that is. Given as how I've only had two truly licorice flavors so far, I hesitate to say one is better than the other. One was certainly more ice cream focused, making sure that you got a good ice cream that also had hints of licorice. This one has the licorice very forward. It is present long after the bite is taken. I think that's part of the appeal of licorice, is that it's more of a back palate flavor, so you can have a bit more subtlety and nuance in the fore palate, which will eventually get entirely overwhelmed in the back. This is a very strong licorice flavor. It's not to the point that it'll knock your socks off or make your mouth pucker like it would be if you're eating strong licorice straight up. I think that's mainly due to the impacts of the dairy base. Right? I think the dairy base is really mellowing out that fore palate, sort of almost puckering severity of flavor, and ultimately making it a really good ice cream flavor, while the texture is lacking a bit. It is important to note that Main Street Mercantile did not make this ice cream. This ice cream was made by Stoopslin Family Farms, based out of Sioux City in South Dakota, although the farm itself is in Iowa somewhere. So it is locally made, and they do claim it to be small batch. And I am getting that sort of homemade feel, especially with the variety of flavors that were offered. They had fun names, and you know how I can always tell if an ice cream shop is selling really mass manufactured ice cream or not? It's by their Superman flavor. Pretty much every touristy ice cream spot has some variety of a Superman flavor. It'll usually be red, yellow, and blue. It'll have really fun looking colors. It'll always just be vanilla, of course, or some cherry, artificial cherry, grape, whatnots to it. But if it's a really large manufacturer, it'll be called Superman, registered trademark. If it's not, it'll be some variation, like superhero, or in Susan Family Farms case, kryptonite. But now let's try the two flavors together. I'm very curious to see this combination, because if it works, then I may start putting Mike and Ike's in my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future. I can't lie, this is really good. It's almost like, while the licorice isn't being tasted all too much, it is still contributing on the palate and adding some complexity to the peanut butter. Both flavors are powerful in their own right, though peanut butter coats the mouth a little bit more, and thus has a bit more of a presence. But as the peanut butter fades, the licorice starts to hint into the background. And even while the peanut butter is being consumed, the licorice is giving it a bit more floral, fruity notes that you wouldn't think go well with peanut butter. But peanut butter and jelly works well, so I don't see why this wouldn't either. I don't think I'll go so far as to put Good and Plenty's in my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches now, but still, this is a good combination of ice creams. There is a curious phenomenon though. These two flavors together taste almost salty. It's possible that both flavors contain a good amount of salt, and it's usually the case that ice creams contain a decent amount of salt to bring out the flavor, but isn't tasted as much because it's so cold. But there's something about the two flavors coming together that kind of makes it actively salty on the palate. It's probably the black licorice's fault. It is necessary to have a good amount of salt in black licorice to make it actually taste like anything. Now about Main Street Mercantile itself. It is right across the street from the world's only Corn Palace, which is a major attraction in Mitchell, South Dakota. So in the summer and the fall, when the Corn Palace is doing their things, Main Street Mercantile is getting a lot of business, a lot of foot traffic, and it shows in the layout of the building. It offers froyo, confectionaries, ice cream, a lot of gifts and knickknacks, trinkets, gifts for gift shops and whatnots. It has pretty much everything that a tourist or family could want or need as they're passing through or stopping in town. I appreciate that they're using local ice cream. We're fairly close to Sioux City, and the usage of local ice cream is heartwarming to me. They so easily could have gone the standard route of Hershey's or Bluebell, done some national distribution, but no, they chose to go local, and the quality is indicative of that. It was $4.50 for this large, and while it was in a styrofoam cup, it's a good hefty portion of ice cream. To be in such close proximity to the world's only Corn Palace, it's only fitting that you have ice cream that matches these local tastes and curiosities. Black licorice is a flavor I just simply don't get anywhere in the eastern side of the United States. And the fact that I've seen it this close in proximity twice in the Dakotas, I think that's a really good sign of the ability to get cool, curious local flavors. I appreciate that. And so that brings me to my closing thoughts. If you find yourself going to the world's only Corn Palace, absolutely stop by Main Street Mercantile on the way. They're serving some incredible locally made small batch ice cream with a variety of flavors that is indicative of local tastes and this curiosity about it that can't be matched. The double scoop was $4.50, so really good pricing, though I don't love the styrofoam cup. And overall, the service was great and the vibes were incredible. If you find yourself in Mitchell, South Dakota, absolutely stop by Main Street Mercantile. They have ice cream, candy, fudge, froyo, and a whole bunch of other gifts and knickknacks you can buy. It's a good place to be. If you like this video and want to see more like it, consider subscribing, or go to findfiltermarketing.com for more on the journey. Thank you.